Hey guys, it's Doc Vinyl again. How you doing? And today we're going to do a band in focus. And as you probably have guessed, it is Steely Dan. Interesting band. They're going to be a little different than I've covered before. I'm going to try a little bit more in-depth notes and do a little bit interesting stuff here. So I'm going to talk about this band from their inception and until their rebirth. I'll talk a little bit about that. Disclaimer to start out with, this is not a complete discography because the last two albums I will not cover because they never really came out on vinyl in this country. They were released in Germany in lower quality pressings in vinyl. Not good stuff because they were originally digital recordings. So, but before I start, I'd like to talk a little about subscribing. Hopefully you guys could subscribe. I'd like to get some more subscribers in there so that we can talk more and get some commentaries. Some comments would be great. I had some last week. I'd like to see some more. Now, this band is a pretty popular band, so I'm sure a lot of people have some definite opinions about, best albums, favorite albums, cool stuff and material. So I'd hope to hear from you guys. Please click that subscribe button and hook up, and let's talk about the comments and what have you. And if you have any suggestions for new future shows, love to hear it and definitely consider them. So all right, let's get off to Steely Dan. Steely Dan's formed in 1971 by Walter Becker and Donald Fagen. They're the two predominant members of the band. The interesting thing about Steely Dan is that their first two albums, they're the traditional band of the time period where they produced an album, toured the album for the record company to promote and sell the album. And they were not... Donald Fagen had a very severe case of stage fright, so David Palmer was one of the first introducing persons that sang on stage at the beginning there, and it was kind of a problem. But we'll talk a little about how they evolve into really predominantly studio band. So really cool stuff. Now, they start out in 1971. They put out their first album in 1972. It is Cant Buy a Thrill right here. Great album. Got it on ABC, the original ABC. Pretty good stuff. So cool stuff here. This is really just amazing. This has just a plethora of hits on it. It starts out with Do It Again, which of course is Back, Jack, Do It Again. I'm sure you've heard it a million times. Dirty Work, You Do Your Dirty Work. Two big hits. Kings, Midnight Cruiser, and Only a Fool Would Say That. Side 2 is Reelin' in the Years, Fire in the Hole, Brooklyn, Oh's the Charmer Under Me, and Change of the Guard, and Turn That Heart Beat Over Again. Great stuff. And this had the original band. Now, the original band constituted Jeff Skunk Baxter on guitar and various steel guitar, Walter Becker on electric bass guitar and vocals, Denny Diaz on more electric guitar, Donald Fagen playing piano and singing, Jim Hodder was the original drummer, and Donald Palmer did some vocals. Then they had a couple of musicians, Victor Feldman from Miles Davis, Elliot Randall, Jerome Richardson, Snooky Young. So this, even from the very, very beginning, this album really constitutes just an amazing collection of artists. Just great, great stuff. Great songs, but all the songs predominantly written by Becker and Donald Fagen. Okay, really, really good stuff. So, very popular. The album did very well for the music company. They were very happy with it. And then in 1973 comes the second album, and that is Countdown to Ecstasy, which I have right here. Just want to put these up. Sorry about that. Countdown to Ecstasy. Great stuff. This album, again, under the traditional format of recording, touring, and what have you, as I told you before. So this was another live album. This album really has some great stuff on it too. This has the same band except minus Dennis Palmer. So Denny Diaz, Jeff Skunk Baxter, Walter Becker, Jim Hodder, and Donald Fagen, of course. This includes Bought After, Razor Boy, The Boston Rag, great stuff. Your Gold Teeth. Side 2 is Showbiz Kids, My Old School, which was a really big hit. Pearl of the Quarter and King of the World. Now, this album didn't do as well as their premiere album, didn't have as many hits, and didn't yield as much. So they were kind of forced to tour it, and Donald Fagen did finally do some of overcome his stage fright and do some of the singing on it. Well, with this album produced a lot of pressure in the band, and really looked at that by the time we get to their third album, which is Pretzel Logic, this is predominantly a studio album. And they really had made an arrangement with ABC. This is the final album that they actually toured. And what really worked out well with this particular album is the fact that this album actually did better and did as well as the first without touring. So this is really the album that kind of made them the studio band. And as you can see right here, great stuff, as you can see. Great band here. This includes all sorts of instrumental people here. Jeff Porcaro's on this one. Just really good stuff. This has the songs Ricky Don't Lose That Number, Night by Night, Any Major Dude Will Tell You, Barrytown, and East St. Louis Toodle Doo, which is a Duke Ellington cover. Side 2 is Parker's Band, Through with Buzz, Pretzel Logic, With a Gun, Charlie Freak, and Monkey in Your Soul. Just really very good quality. The fidelity and the quality of the recording is amazing, as you can see with Donald Fagen. Donald Fagen is really was almost like anal retentive with his recordings, and he would take 40, 50, 60, even 70 takes on particular songs, want everything to sound perfect. Pretzel Logic, a very good album. And that leads to their 4th album, which of course now starts to expand its inclusion of studio artists. And this album, of course, is Katy Lied, which was released in 1975. As you can see, these go in order here. And Katy Lied, really just a great one. Another great one here. This one has Jeff Porcaro right here on drums, and various other drummers: Donald Fagen, Denny Diaz, Walter Becker, Roger Nichols, Gary Katz, who was the producer of the band. This includes Black Friday, Bad Sneakers, kind of an underground hit, Rose Darling, Daddy Don't Live with That in New York City No More, Dr. Wu, Everyone Gone to the Movies, Your Gold Teeth, Chain Lightning, which was kind of an R&B mix, Any World, and Throwback, the Little One. Now, this one is really good. And the personnel, just listen to this. Rick Derringer's on this album. Donald Fagen, of course. Jeff Porcaro on drums. Just Michael McDonald, backup vocals, of course, of Doobie Brothers fame. Just a whole bunch of stuff. Just a really good album. This now started to establish them as the premier studio band of the time period. And that leads to the next album, which was released in 1976, and it's called Royal Scam. Royal Scam is just really another really great album. This includes some very good hits. Kid Charlemagne is on side 1, The Caves of Altamira, Don't Take Me Alive, Sign In Stranger, and The Fez. Side 2 is Green Earring, Haitian Divorce, Everything You Did, and The Royal Scam. Of course, this album, just amazing material on it, and again, selling really well without touring, without following the major aspects of what music and industry in the 70s really constituted, which put out an album, tour the album by promotion. They didn't have to do that, and Steely Dan broke that mold. And the fidelity and the quality of the recordings really was. Now I'm going to take a break before I do the last 2 albums, my favorites, and talk a little bit about who was in the bands. I mean, let's look at the breakdown of some of the studio musicians that have played with Steely Dan. Michael McDonald, as I mentioned, Jeff Porcaro, Rick Derringer, Lee Ritenour, great keyboard jazz musician, Steve Gadd, one of my favorite drummers. If you don't realize now, I'm a drummer. I love drumming. Bernard Purdie, another great drummer. Wayne Shorter, great saxophone player who had played with Miles Davis. Joe Sample, another great keyboard player in the jazz world. Victor Feldman, who I mentioned was in the Miles Davis, another great percussionist. And then, of course, Mark Knopfler from Dire Straits was one of the guest guitarists. And this is just a sampling. There's just so many others that really came against. And the 2 albums that I don't cover on this is the 2000 release, Two Against Nature, which of course predominantly you can get on streaming and video, and the other one is Everything Must Go, which is 2003. Now that's important because they are available technically on vinyl if you want to get German copies for excessively high prices, and the quality of the recordings are not very good, and even the quality of the pressings weren't even very good. But hopefully there's been kind of a revival, so maybe they might re-release them on well remastered recordings. Let's hope for the best on that one. Walter Becker did die of esophagus cancer in 2017. Rest his soul. He was, of course, instrumental in the band, and so they were touring at the time, and he had died, and then they did kind of a memoriam tour. So maybe they'll do some sort of collected box set or something. I'm sure there'll be something in the future for that. Okay, 1977, favorite album. Of course, we're talking about Asia. What's to be said? This album, to me, I think includes probably more hits than any other album. This is just amazing. This has Black Cow, Asia, which was a great instrumental song, lots of drumming, what have you, Deacon Blues, And then on side 2, Peg, which I opened up with, which you heard. Home at Last, I Got the News, and Josie. This was just really just an amazing album. The quality of recording on this is legendary in the industry. People will tell you one of the best recorded albums in rock and roll. It has that, what I call progressive pop. They really like the progressive pop musicians. It's interesting because their hooks and their intricacies of their playing is amazing. The qualities are great, but it still has that popular appeal. Very high quality music you probably won't see again for a long time. Just amazing. Asia really constitutes the pinnacle of this band at its highest bit. Gaucho, we'll talk a little bit about in a minute when they have problems with that. But each one of these songs is just amazing, just a really, really good. So when Asia came out, it did well, and of course the music industry was very happy. And then of course they had to kind of wanted to move labels. ABC was kind of suing this, all this kind of music industry garbage when Gaucho comes out. Now Gaucho took over 14 months to produce. Why did it take so long? What were the problems? Well, a couple of them were Donald Fagen, because he's the anal retentive musician, recording artist. But more importantly, here's my glasses. More importantly, it was the fact that the music industry was changing at the time, 1980. But let's talk about what's on this album. Side A is Babylon Sisters. Babylon Sisters, shake it. Hey 19 is on, and Glamour Profession. Side 2 is Gaucho, Time Out of Mind, My Rival, and Third World Man. Just great. Of course, the lyrics, love that. Gotta love that. Cool stuff. So the thing that's interesting about Gaucho is that there's outtakes. They did a lot of other songs on this that didn't make it, and of course there's an outtake kind of thing and kind of a black market thing on some of the songs that they did. But this was just really an amazing album. Again, most of these can be had at Max J Records. I believe he has a lot of Steely Dan in his collection, so if you're interested in revisiting, I definitely suggest visiting Max J Records. So that ends the ABC years. And like I told you, they did those 2 other albums in 2000 and 2003, which were recorded predominantly on digital medium and CD and what have you. And then they did do a transfer to vinyl, but it was only available in the European market and a low quality. So that's Steely Dan. I wanted to talk a little about them and their influence on music. They really took pop at a higher level. The musicship was just very, very high, and it was just amazing. I just wanted to emphasize that on Steely Dan, and want to talk a little bit about their influence. And you can see their influence on studio qualities of musicians and bands that come thereafter that want to play at that high level, and the use of studio musicians to create that perfect sound. After Steely Dan, a lot of bands did start to go in that direction to create this perfect sound. Again, just great stuff. I hope to hear you guys in the comments and like to see some more subscribers who can talk about this, and definitely give me some new ideas for some future shows and some things you'd like to see. All right, and you guys stay safe and take it easy. It's Dr. Vinyl.